Journalists don't die. They are killed. They are not in prison. Regimes lock them up. They do not disappear. They are kidnapped. When it comes to protecting journalists and training them to cover conflicts, progress has certainly been made, and RSF's efforts have helped free jailed reporters and limit the threats journalists face. But once again, this year's roundup illustrates the heavy price journalists pay to keep us informed. The press freedom predators, repressive powers, and armed groups attacking reliable information and the people who strive to deliver it are numerous. Journalists have become targets, inconvenient witnesses, even bargaining chips, pawns in political games. These crimes violate international law and all too often go unpunished. This year, 54 journalists were killed while working or because of their work. A third of these murdered journalists were killed by Israeli bombs, and Gaza has become the most dangerous region in the world for reporters. At least 35 of the 145 journalists killed by Israel since October 2023 were deliberately targeted or killed in connection with their work. Even outside war zones, journalism has not been spared. In Pakistan, 2 journalists were killed and targeted by the local Taliban. In Bangladesh, security forces deliberately targeted and killed journalists covering demonstrations. In Mexico, 5 journalists were murdered despite being under the state protection mechanism, including Alejandro Alfredo Martinez Noguez, who was shot dead inside the police car of his security escort. Another way of silencing journalists is to imprison them. 550 journalists are currently behind bars. Israel is now the world's 3rd largest prison for journalists, ahead of Belarus, Russia, and Vietnam. China remains the world's biggest prison for journalists, particularly cracking down on journalists in Xinjiang and Hong Kong. And the hostility towards journalists does not stop there. RSF counts 55 journalists held hostage worldwide and 95 missing. Governments are responsible for at least 45% of these disappearances. We won't give in to fatalism. Things can be done differently. We need to get things moving, to remind ourselves as citizens that journalists are dying for us, to keep us informed. We must hold all those responsible for these murders to account. Protecting those who inform us is protecting the truth.